Welcome back, everybody. We are so happy to have you here in October. How you doing, Kaylee?
I'm doing amazing. It's flying by already. It's so crazy, but I'm awesome. How are you?
Good. I just had an aha right now. So, fall is my favorite time of the year because you really get to experience the magic of earth, right? The magic of, snow for us here, in Canada. You get to experience the color of the leaves changing and how the trees go to sleep. And yesterday I was at actually this weekend I was at the monastery, the Buddhist monastery again, and we were talking about, you know, compassion and gratitude. And they asked us a question and I said, some people think I'm crazy because I'm out there hugging trees. Like I'm like, I love my trees in my yard. I look at them, I speak to them, I love them. I find that they're so magical that they can produce fruit and then they can go to sleep for the winter and they can just be dormant but still be living. And then in the spring they come back, right? So it's just, I'm not weird, I swear. I just love nature and I love magic. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about going back to Never Never Land. Have you seen Peter Pan?
Yep.
I'm assuming you have. I know that you're much younger than us, but Peter Pan, like, did you ever watch Hook, the one with Robin Williams?
I don't think I fully watched it, but I've seen parts of it. Yeah.
All right. So today, after this podcast, you're going to go and watch it. That one is so magical to me because Robin Williams is like most of us, right? Working a job, not feeling fulfilled. Things are kind of happening, and he's just kind of getting by. And then he goes back to where he came from, which was Neverland, and he experienced the magic of life. And I'm going to start off this podcast today by reading the first beginning of the Magic by Rhonda Byrne, from who created The Secret. And it starts off, do you believe in magic? Those who don't believe in magic will never find it. Roald Dahl, 1916 to 1990, writer. Remember when you were a child and looked at life in total wonder and awe? Life was magical and exciting, and the smallest things were utterly thrilling to you. You were fascinated by the frost on the glass, a butterfly flittering around through the air, or any strange leaf or rock on the ground. You were full of excitement when you lost a tooth because it meant the tooth fairy was coming that night, and you would count down the days to that magical night of Christmas, even though you had no idea how Santa could get to every child in the world in one night. Somehow he did it, and he never let you down. Reindeer could fly. There were fairies in the garden. Pets were like people. Toys had personalities. Dreams came true, and you could touch the stars. Your heart was full of joy. Your imagination knew no limits, and you believed that life was magical. There is an exquisite feeling many of us had as children that everything is good, that every day promises more excitement and adventure, and that nothing could ever thwart our joy for the magic of it all. But somehow, as we grew into adults, responsibilities, problems, and difficulties took their toll on us. We became disillusioned, and the magic we once believed in as children faded and disappeared. It's one of the reasons why, as adults, we love to be around children so that we can experience that feeling we once had, even if it's just for a moment. I'm here to tell you that the magic you once believed in is true, and it's the disillusioned adult perspective of life that is false. The magic of life is real, and it's as real as you are. In fact, life can be far more wondrous than you ever thought it was as a child, and more breathtaking, awe-inspiring, and exciting than everything you've seen before. When you know what to do to bring forth the magic, you will live the life of your dreams. Then you will wonder how you ever could have given up in believing in the magic of life. You may not see reindeer fly, but you will see the things that you've always wanted appearing before your eyes. And you will see the things you've dreamed of for so long suddenly happening. You will never know exactly how everything weaved together for your dreams to come true because magic works in an invisible realm, and that's the most important, thrilling part. Are you ready to experience the magic again? Are you ready to be filled with awe and wonder every day like when you were a child? Get ready for the magic. Our adventure begins 2,000 years ago when life-changing knowledge was hidden within a sacred text.
So good.
Right?
And I felt every single thing you read because obviously we were all there as children and we had the magic in us, but I am back in Never Never Land.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
how I live. And it's so amazing, like hearing that and living it now, because I wasn't in magic a couple years ago. I wasn't, but now having two kids too, as you were saying that story, I see my kids play with dolls and they have characters, and I see the excitement. And the other day I was actually just talking about the Tooth Fairy, and it's so amazing, if like bringing yourself back to that child when you were so excited on Christmas Eve for Santa and you could hear the reindeer on the roof and there was nothing there,
Yep.
but your imagination was at work and the magic was happening in your mind, and you were so excited for things that were unseen that you believed in.
Yep. And like people, when you tell them your dreams, they kind of look at you like you're cuckoo, right? Like back in the day when the Wright brothers, were trying to fly, they had no reason to fly. Like neighbors and friends thought they were crazy. They said, you have no business trying to fly when you're bicycle mechanics. But look at Marconi. They put him in an institution because he had stated that he could send messages through the air. But do you think he's crazy when you turn on the radio? Do you think he's crazy now that I'm looking at you, Kaylee, who's in Ontario, I'm in PEI, and we're having this conversation through airwaves?
Right.
So why is it when we have these dreams and these fantasies that people try to bring us back to reality?
I was just going to say that, like, people have crazy dreams every single day, and it's almost like the world got too serious.
Yep.
Too serious about you can or you can't do that. Or it's so funny though, because there's people that follow the norm, which is serious, and literally go through life not believing in the magic and believing in themselves, and thinking that their crazy ideas can be something. And then there's people out there like you and I who've tapped into our potential, who've created the magic again in our lives. And going forward, it's like we have every belief in our body that whatever it is we want, we can have, and we know it.
Yeah. I remember when we first moved here, like people said really terrible things to us. And I know they didn't mean it. They say it without meaning it, right? Well, what are you going to do for work? What are you going to do for money? What are you going to do for friends? What if it doesn't work out? And it's always the what if, and it's always a negative, right? And Donnie and I always say, I got to say this. There's this TikTok out there now with Robin Williams. And I think it's from the movie, Good Will Hunting. I believe it's from that movie. Don't quote me on that. But he says, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. And Robin Williams says, how exciting. How exciting. You just mentioned something about following the norm. One man in 1926 created the norm. There's billions of people on the planet, and one man created the 9 to 5. His name was Henry Ford. And in 1926, when we were just getting started into the pandemic after the Great Depression, he decided that he was going to create the work week. That's what it was called. And it was going to be 5 days a week, 9 to 5, and you get 2 days off. That is less than 100 years ago. Less than 100 years ago. For millions and millions of years, people have survived working for themselves. And in less than 100 years, we went from an independent people to a dependent people. Mm-hmm. What does that tell you?
It's crazy, right? And the thing that people don't understand is if you are working that 9 to 5, you are working for somebody else's dream. Like that person created that you're a part of. And nothing we ever say about working a 9 to 5 we bash. If that's the life that you want to live, absolutely.
Yes. There's people who love their job.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. It's just like we talked about on a previous episode of being an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur. If you choose to be an entrepreneur and work inside of a job that you love, that's one thing. But if you're just getting up every day to do the same thing and you don't love it,
You're just trying to get by.
know that you can change that. This is what we're talking about. This is having, the magic in your mind, the belief in yourself, knowing what you like and what you don't like. And it's funny because Sarah and I talk to people every single day who some people don't know what it is they want, and that's fine, because if you don't know what you want, you sure as hell know what you don't want.
Exactly.
Right? So what's the opposite of that?
Yeah.
But it's honestly mind-blowing when you just sit with yourself for once and take everyone out of the equation. Like literally take your kids out of the equation, your husband, your parents, your sister, your brother, your aunts, your uncle, your best friend who's telling you do or don't do this, and sit with yourself. Like, what don't you like? What do you like? If you could wake up tomorrow, like literally picture yourself going to bed tonight and Peter Pan's little fairy comes and sprinkles fairy dust on your head and you go into this magical dream, and every single thing you want, you can wake up into that life tomorrow. That's not bullshit.
Because but what boggles my mind is you teach your kids this. Like you're teaching your kids every single day. And when you got pregnant, you made a decision to be a good parent, right? You were going to do whatever it takes to ensure that this child lives a great life. But just like the beginning of this book said, is that they're going to grow up to be adults and have the same responsibilities. Because when they turn 16, guess what? You're going to send them out to get their driver's license and to get their social security number and to get a job. You're going to go get a job, right? You're going to teach them the responsibilities as being an adult. So you're actually planning to crush your children's dreams. Like it's already in the works. Why? Because that's what happened to us.
Yeah. Right? And I wouldn't say like my upbringing and especially my dad, he was very structured. Like you get a good job, you go to work, and that's what you do for the rest of your life. So I did that because that's what I knew growing up. My dad was also the guy that was like, Santa's a fat bastard and he doesn't get credit for what I bought you. So magic of Santa died very quickly in my life too. But now knowing all of the things I know, the only way you can change the pattern of your life is with you.
Yep. You have to break that generational curse.
Mm-hmm. Because it's true. Like if you look at the way you're living your life, it's patterns of the past. So it's the way your parents lived, and it's the way that they were brought up by their parents and their parents and their parents. It's literally a train.
Yep.
So the only way you're going to break that generational curse and that generational thought of this is how life's supposed to be, not the way you can have your life created, it only stops with you, right? So if you have kids, you can probably already see things you're telling them that your mom used to tell you when you grew up.
Yep.
Right?
And another thing, right? So when you got pregnant, you made that decision to be a good parent, right? And so you do whatever it takes. But if you don't make the decision for you to go after your dreams, your kids won't go after it. So there's a reason why welfare recipients are generational welfare recipients. Is because your kids, whether you tell them they can be, do, and have whatever they want, you are their idol. They look up to you. So this isn't going to be the first pandemic or first crisis that your kids go through. So are you retracting and retreating and collecting money from welfare, selling your house and downgrading to, a smaller house or a condo? So you're teaching your kids subconsciously that when bad things happen and when crisis happens, to retreat, right? So it doesn't matter how much you ingrain in them to go after their goal, they will not go after it because you are teaching them subconsciously. And they will grow up to resent you because they'll look at Tommy in his class whose mom decided that she was no longer going to just live this life day to day, that she was going to start a side hustle and turn that side hustle into a multi-million-dollar business. And now they get to go on vacations all the time, and he's seen the world, and he goes to Disney every single year, and they create memories, and his parents are home because now dad doesn't have to go to work either, and he's living the life he wants, and they live this magical life. And now Tommy is learning that, but you're still going to work doing something you don't love. You're retracting. So your kids are going to do that. And they're going to be like, Mom, why couldn't you get your shit together and live out your dream? You keep telling me about these dreams. Grandparents, they love to tell you about the things that they didn't do. Right? I wish I did this. I wish I was your age and I did this. And I wish I could do that. When you're on your deathbed, you don't look back at all the bills you didn't pay. You look back at all the opportunities that you missed and that you handed down. Right? So, another one is losing weight. Mom, why couldn't you get the energy to lose weight so you could run around and play with me? Right? Why didn't you teach me? I used to blame my dad. Why couldn't you teach me healthy habits? But now that I look back, he tried. He tried to teach me healthy habits. But he was a workaholic. And so that's what I did. I worked. I worked 7 days a week and I was still broke.
And you know what? It's when you make the small changes to change the generational curse, and you just take one step in front of the other and think, okay, today, this is the area of my life I want to change, and I'm going to work on that. And it's so funny because children are little sponges, man. They really are. Like, it's so funny. The other day, because no one knows that when mommy has to work, he can't distract me. So he does his thing, but he got a little laptop for Christmas and he plays with my old cell phone here. It doesn't work, but he just plays with it. And the other day I said, Mommy's going to go work. I'll be right back. And he knows that, but he also knows when I'm not working, I'm all his. Like, what do you want to do? Let's do it. Right. So I said, Mommy's going to go work. I'll be right back. And he says, oh, okay. And he's so serious. So he runs downstairs and he finds his laptop in his little toy chest. And he comes and gets my phone and he sets it up on my bed and he pretends he's working like me. And I was like, what are you doing? And he said, Mommy. I said, no. I said, what do you want to do when you grow up? I said, what do you want to be? He's like, Mommy. I said, oh, you want to be like Mommy or do you want to go to work like Daddy? And he's like, no, Mommy. And it's something like that, right? Like the littlest things, because it's making me teary-eyed right now. But like looking back before I had him, I didn't have the magic. I just did the thing every single day that I was doing. And if I was still doing that, he wouldn't see this. He honestly wouldn't even see me, period, because I was working midnights and he would never see me. Yep. So him growing up from being literally a brand new baby, and he just turned 2 in August, he's seen that I put my beliefs, my old belief system out the door, and I said, this is the life that we're going to live. What do we want to do every day? You know, what does life look like today? And I love that you said that, Sarah, about Robin Williams. And he said, it's so beautiful when you don't know what tomorrow looks like. Yep. Because it's not the same thing every single day. Yes,
and if you're living the same thing every single day, that's fucking boring.
Yeah, right? Like you still have a routine, obviously, but that routine is planned and organized by you, not somebody else saying this is what you're doing today.
This is what time you have to show up at. This is when you get to have lunch. This is when you get to go on vacation. This is when you get to go home. This is how much I'm going to pay you. This is all that you're worth.
And that was my biggest aha moment, was when I took this step into doing something I wanted to do to bring light to my passion and my purpose and my mission in this world. I was floating in my pool 2 years ago, a little less than 2 years ago. And this is after I made this decision, and I just started crying, and I thought, like, what the fuck? Why am I crying right now? But I thought, like, I would not be here right now floating in my pool on a Wednesday afternoon. I'd be sleeping, getting ready to go work midnights. And then when we were leaving a few days after that to go on vacation, I probably wouldn't have, because I would have to ask somebody, can I go on vacation and live my life this weekend? No, you can't. You don't have enough time. You got to work. Yep. Like, what?
It's so true. Like, so Donnie and I just secured our 6th property, 2019. For those of you guys who have been listening, Donnie and I were broke. We were budgeting and buying expired meat and produce to get through the weeks to eat to survive. And so last week we bought groceries without even looking. We just bought what we wanted, and the bill was $450 in one shopping trip for two of us. And we like laughed and high-fived, and the cashier thought we were crazy. Like, we're like, you're high-fiving over $450, but that used to be that was more than our monthly budget when we were back. And now here we are. We bought our sixth property. I told Donnie at the beginning of the year, I put it on my vision board. I said, I'm going to own 6 properties by the end of the year. And he's like, and so it shall be. Right? Because when you put it into the universe, it'll happen. You don't need to know where the money's going to come from. You just you need to make the decision that that's what you want to do. And the universe opens it up, and it opens doors for you. Think about it. Was there a time where you thought you weren't going to be able to pay the rent? Was there a time where you thought you weren't going to be able to buy diapers? Was there a time you thought you weren't going to be able to give money for your kid's school trip? Or pay for something, or when your phone died, you weren't going to be able to get a new one? Did it always work out? Most of the time, yes. And if it didn't, that was probably the best thing to ever happen to you. So Gary Vee said, I could have gave my normal $25,000 check, and I could have made $400 million with Uber. But he's like, but then I could have also got on a plane and went to Japan and got hit by a bus. Right? You never know. Everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Everything happens for a reason, and everything also happens the way I believe that it's supposed to, right? And just like you said, Sarah, all the things that we worry about in life, especially if we are in hard times and we're worrying about the next thing or whatever it is we have to do you notice, like, just look at your mindset in that for a second and think, for instance, I need a pack of diapers and I don't get paid till Thursday, but I need them now. Okay. For that split second, you're thinking a little bit, there's doubt in your mind that you're not going to have them, but because you have to wait till you get paid, but you don't take that for an answer. So you say it's going to happen. And in that moment, you made the decision, it's going to happen because it needs to. And that's what I want. And literally, if you find a way, like the diapers happen before Thursday. And that's how life is.
Yeah. With anything that you want, right? Like, I talked to so many people who have been talking to you for like 2 years, and they're in the exact same position. And they're like, well, I'm just getting by. Do you enjoy just getting by? I heard the best quote from our mentor saying, living pay to pay is living in emergency mode. So what happens if you have an actual emergency? Do you have enough liquid cash that you would be able to just pick up and leave if there was an emergency? Or is everything tied up in your house, in your car, in your credit card debt? Do you have liquid assets? Most people are house poor because they pour everything into their house. Mm-hmm. I have a confession. My guilty pleasure is TikTok. I love following the people who like sell their house and they downgrade, or they sell their house and they move across the country, or they sell their house and they get in an RV and they live this life, right? Like, they choose to remove the obstacle and the barrier that's keeping them from reaching their goal. And I love following them because those are my people. Those are risk takers. And I was following a couple yesterday who sold everything and moved to Saudi Arabia. Like, how exciting is that? To look back, like, Donnie and I are going to be able to look back, and all those naysayers and all those people who didn't agree with us, we're going to be able to look back and say, look what we did. Look what we accomplished. Because you're always going to have naysayers, and it's going to be friends and family, and it's going to be people who don't know how to live their dream. So you're continuing to ask broke people for broke advice. You're continuing to ask people who are stuck for stuck advice. So if you really want to get ahead in life, you need to surround yourself with people who are on a higher level than you. And what happens is we bring you up to that level. You might not have it yet, but you get brought up to that level. So like Kelly and I right now are learning from a 9-figure sales rep, right? We're not making 9 figures yet, but we're sitting at the table with that person. So we're getting all of that information. So they raise you up, and damn, do they ever raise you up. Like, you have no idea how good it feels to leave a training where they truly give a shit about you, but they don't hold your hand. They tell you how it is.
Mm-hmm. And that's it, right? So many people go through life being spoon-fed and handheld, and then say, you know, why can't I make a decision? Because you don't ever rely on yourself. It's everything outside of you and other people. Like, for 1 second, own up to yourself and your life, and give it a harsh, honest evaluation. Like, where am I? What do I want? And why am I here?
And really ask yourself, do you believe in magic? Because when you look at your babies, yes, scientifically now, we know where babies come from, right? Sperm meets eggs equals baby, right? But back in the day, could you imagine getting pregnant and then being like, what the hell is happening? Like, that's miracle. That's magic. You created life. You made people, and now you are their master. So you have to pave the way for them to live that life that you dreamed of when they were growing in your belly. Because if not, they're going to be in the exact same position as you. And then what happens? You feel bad. You feel pain because they are living paycheck to paycheck and they're asking to borrow money from you because you're their parents and you brought them into this world and told them they could be, do, and have whatever they want, but you're too broke that you can't afford to help them. And so now there's that pain and there's that discouragement and then there's that fear. And then you create that vicious circle.
And I want to say it's
That's
never
scarier.
Yeah, and I want to say it's honestly never too late. Like, it's
Never.
never too late. If you're listening to this right now and you're like, holy shit, this is my life, I want more, and I've never looked at different avenues to do that, it's never too late. Literally, if you are coming from a place right now where you're like, I don't have money, I don't have a cent to my name, but I want to change my life, go on YouTube. Start watching things online. There's so many things for free that you don't need money for.
Yep.
And when you start watching those things for free, yes, they're not going to give you the $1 million results because it's free, but it's going to start raising your vibration. It's going to start giving you the magic to open up your mind to think, what is possible for me? Because there's so much out there that you can do. And when you start raising your vibration and you come from that place of, I feel better, I'm actually excited to wake up in the morning, you know, your wheels start spinning about, what can I actually do with this life that I have? And you're on that new vibration and that new frequency, you're going to start attracting the things that you need. And with that comes money. And boom, then you can invest into yourself with a mentor. You can invest into yourself with doing something you've always wanted to do. But once again, it's never too late. Look
Never.
at Colonel Sanders. He had an idea at 65 years old to create Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
65.
Wasn't Morgan Freeman like in his 50s when he started acting?
Yeah.
Right? Look at I love the older actors in movies. Like, I'm like, good for you. Like, you went out and you did it. And here you are, like the star of a movie in your 60s and 70s. Those are the people I like to watch in movies.
Mm-hmm. Or I seen the other day, Sarah, you posted a
102-year-old man.
The 102-year-old man running in the Olympics.
Running in the Olympics.
Like, everything is a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't think you can do something, you probably won't.
Yeah.
If you think you can and you have that little bit of belief, you will move towards it. So bring the magic back to your life. Like, who said you had to fucking grow up?
I know.
I know I didn't. Obviously I did, but like, my mindset didn't. I still think the not stupidest, but crazy shit. And I'm like, that's a good idea. I should do that. Right?
Yeah. So we have a friend who turned 40 over this past weekend, and we sent her a bouncy castle.
Yeah.
We sent her a bouncy castle to go and hang out in with her kids, and to just have a day of memories.
Yeah.
So if you think if you're thinking right now, I don't like my job, I haven't gotten enough money, I can't find my perfect partner, I can't pay my bills, I think I'm coming down with something, he or she doesn't appreciate me, I don't get along with my parents, my child is a problem, my life is a mess, or my marriage is in trouble, make sure you tune in next week because we're going to talk about the universal law, which is the law of attraction.
Awesome.
So check us out on our next episode.
Excited to see you there. And once again, if you ever have questions, anything you want us to touch on or talk about, send us an email to info@asodproteam.com.
Awesome. See you later.
See ya.